Rich und Ehre, was ich dir noch angesäche, so bist du ihr aller Ehre. Was ist Wundes hier geschehen? Dass ein Magd ein Kind gebar, ihre über aller Engel schar. Was das nicht ein Wunder gab.
This is New Right, a podcast for the lost arts, reclaiming the literary holy land from the heathen. This is Dan Baltic.
And this is Matt Pegas.
And this is episode
22
with Delicious Tacos.
Fucking A, baby.
In real life, here with us, doing a real live interview.
Yeah, I exist as a physical form. So is this a right-wing podcast?
Good question. I would say I'll own that. I mean,
So,
what would you say, Dan? Yeah.
What I would say is to be in kind of the arts today, if you're like writing anything that's honest or real,
Okay.
you're kind of on the right, because any sort of like writing that you do for corporate publishing or whatever, if you are getting published, it's going to have a left-wing slant.
I think that's about to swing around, and I think we'll be back to a more classic place of like people that I tangentially talk to are getting offered book deals as like the writer of the right wing perspective on XYZ, sex, TikTok, whatever the fuck, normal trendy horseshit.
Okay, cool.
And we'll be comfortably back to the left being oppressed and the cultural right, whatever that may be, being the, at least the people with money. And I say this only with respect to books. That's never going to happen with movies or whatever. But who cares? Like, there's no right, really. There's no left. What does right mean? What does right wing mean? Occasional racist, like casual misogynist. That's something that I'll own. But I don't have stringent views on tax brackets or petroleum policy or anything. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. And I'm only like I espouse no right-wing beliefs, but I don't fight the right-wing label just because, as you say, the SJW stuff is all just such a bore.
Yeah.
And it just, none of it is, there's no evergreen quality to any of it, right? It's all reacting to very newsworthy shit.
But if anything, you're probably economically, from what I understand, more left-wing.
I have money now, so I've become economically right-wing. Like I've become the Grover Norquist guy, where I'm like, I'm looking at the amount that I'm paying in taxes. I'm like, can you fucking believe this? These goddamn welfare queens, like,
do not
soaking up
my
fucking precious money. So yeah, I became middle-aged, and when you hit 40, like, people just start giving you money if you're like a kind of crisp haircut
close,
white man. Yeah,
hopefully, got my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You get invited to the Boomer Boat Club and start getting some cash that you throw into some Vanguard ETFs and start complaining about the welfare state.
Right.
I mean, I do. There's no solution to any collective problem. There's no solution to societal problems, right? Like, people are fat, they're poor, they drink, they fucking take OxyContin, and they fucking shit in the street, and all this, and crime is happening, and blah, 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 and like oppression, racial oppression. None of this will ever be solved. And so there is a I guess you'd call it a right-wing philosophy, which is like, I feel this way about homelessness. We all, or I don't know if we all live in Los Angeles in this room, but at least two of us do. There's tent cities in the street,
Yeah,
people
it's gotten bad.
gargling human shit and committing cannibalism and running around nude, smoking meth. There's no programmatic solution to this where like Gavin Newsom can do something or like build a fucking bunch of tiny houses. That's never going to work. Like the solution is for the individual to get sober, right?
Yeah.
I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous, so like when I can, I go fucking meet homeless people that want to get sober. I try to help them get sober. That's what I do.
Sweet. That's
And if
nice.
that works, then that will get them sober. That's the solution. Like all those people, 100% are alcoholics and drug addicts, and so that was the solution for me too. Like I was fucking doing a ton of coke and doing all kinds of shady shit, and I had a massive negative net worth, and was on my way to an early grave, and I fucking got sober, and then all that instantaneously turned around. So there's no. That is kind of like a Reaganite view, maybe, that government. I don't think government is like malevolent, but I agree that it's ineffective.
Ineffective, yeah.
Corporations too, though, are horseshit, which is
Right.
like left wing.
That's the thing,
right?
yeah.
Like Apple and Google are obviously horseshit.
And they're getting so big that they almost have the role, like a government esque role in our lives.
institutions.
If it's,
Yeah.
I mean that's maybe an overstatement, but their corporations have become totalizing in the age of social media and the internet in a way that during the Reagan era they were not necessarily so. I mean, I guess they've always had.
But
some.
that's how you know conservatives are completely impotent, because you see a lot of their messaging is like, we should do this, or tech companies need to do X, Y, and Z. Like nobody's going to do shit. There's no we. You're going to keep using your fucking phone. It's going to keep spying on you more and more to sell you bullshit, and there's nothing you can or will do about it. And they're going to keep fucking calling themselves, Apple, an Irish corporation, to not pay any taxes, and there's nothing anybody's going to fucking do about it, and it's just the way it is.
It's an Irish apple.
Yeah.
But to go back to your original question, like, is New Right a right wing podcast? I mean, sort of, in the sense that you laid out.
You hate black people and Jews.
Exactly.
We disavow.
But just we're in this corner of the internet. We definitely have views that could probably be described as right wing, but more so, it's
Culturally, not economically.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, I think probably Matt would co-sign on this. We, appreciate traditional values.
Yeah.
And actually, that's kind of something we wanted to talk to you about.
All right.
Because it seems like there's much being made of the vibe shift.
Yeah.
In many
the
respects.
Twitter vibe shift.
And it seems there has been a bit of a tacos vibe shift in that, as you say, you're, in middle age now, you're like, making more money, and it seems like the younger tacos wanted the thrill of the chase, wanted, all of that. And now that you're, getting older, you seem more thoughtful about marriage and kids.
Sure.
And like, what do you make of the tacos vibe shift?
Well, I think about this. The reality is I was always looking for love. I was never just looking for pussy. I enjoy pussy.
Yeah.
I've certainly had a good career with it, but it's too easy a frame to say that I was, a Lothario who then wanted to settle down and be a family man. I was always looking for one girl that I would love and be with and care for, and I just kept fucking it up, or they didn't like me. I can't. If you like them, they don't like you. The real, some of the core problems that the red pill PUA guys address are really true, which is that the more you like them, the less they like you. It's just like women's nature is just horrendous. They really should be heavily oppressed by society and forced to. They should all be forced to wear burqas and not get any education and be out there milking cows and churning butter. So I was anyway. Maybe that's why I don't have a girlfriend, but I was always looking for love, and I just couldn't find it. And the vibe shift has been that I've allowed myself to let it go. Right? If I go to the grave without ever getting married and having a kid, then that's okay too. I will find another way to find meaning in life. There are things about me genetically that are good, as you can see sitting in the room with me. I'm a powerfully handsome and charismatic man. Every inch of my physique, as though it were chiseled from fine Italian marble. Incredibly angular jawline, piercing blue eyes.
Taco's just naked right now.
Straight like a giant pulsating paper towel roll-sized member.
Yeah.
Genetically, I am perfection, except that I'm fucking crazy. I'm a crazy alcoholic and drug addict and sex addict, and I've got all kinds of other quite bad mental illnesses to boot. So, I just think nothing of like risking entire careers or fortunes or what have you to be a blogger talking about pussy. I refuse to change a punctuation mark to tone my shit down. And so this genetic package perhaps was not meant to, like, if I breed, I would have to breed with a hot, happy idiot. And that is just to breed out some of the
neuroses,
some of the craziness. Yeah, because it really does bring a lot of pain with it. So I wouldn't want somebody to experience, the fucking mental anguish that I go through every day. So I need a fucking woman who's a real schmuck, right? Like a real dummy, and just happy all the time, right? So
yeah.
Maybe, and then that's not somebody that I could stay married to and have a conversation with and, go to the movies with, right?
They say that intelligence and personality actually passes along the mother's line.
Okay, good,
line.
right.
So that might,
I'll have
might be a saving grace.
Yeah.
great stupid kids.
Like, I know all my mom's neuroses and I have them. And my dad's like a really like unflappable type of guy, and I'm like, what the fuck? I missed that shit.
Conversely, I am my father, so I can go either way. But
Interesting.
I think that's one of those things. Like they always used to say, baldness came from your mother's side.
I think that's true.
That
sounds like
true.
horseshit to me. That sounds like how would they know that?
Well, my grandfather's bald, and I'm not saying whether I am bald or not, because that's a doxable quality, but I might be. So
all of my grandparents both my grandfathers are bald, and
you've made out like a bandit.
I have a thick, lustrous head of hair. Yeah, I'm like a Norwood 2.8. Like I've got a lot of widow's peak recession going on, but I don't have the crown baldness yet.
Yeah, no.
Which is true baldness. Like that's true. Like holy shit. Like
you gotta shave it down when that happens.
I mean, it depends. Like
I'm
so,
head-shaved.
if you were bald, hypothetically, like you have the kind of face that is suitable to be bald. Like
thank you.
I really would look like fucking Gargamel, or I don't even know if Gargamel's bald, but like some weird like horrible like medieval friar or something if I were bald. I've got a fucking weird face.
Well, the hair complements it well,
Thank
so
you.
luckily you're in business
I
there.
know, all turning completely gray now though. Thinking about dyeing it, and
really?
Yeah, several women have told me not to, which means it's probably something I should do.
True, yeah. What they tell you to do is usually the wrong advice.
Usually you got to go with the exact
it's usually
opposite.
almost the exact opposite is what you should do. You mentioned before that men hit the wall. Do you still stand by that?
Well, I think so. Most men are born on the other side of the wall and spend their entire life trying to get over it.
Heuristic.
40 is the wall for men, and I'm living it. 36 to 39 as a man is your absolute pussy peak. Girls want to date you. They want to fuck you.
So you peak right before the wall.
You peak right before the wall, and then and that's why it's such a shock. Like once you hit the fourth floor, once the odometer rolls over to 40, you're like, oh shit, I'm a middle-aged man. I'm a fucking middle-aged man, which is not. As an existence, middle-aged man is great, right? But I was actually watching. I watched like some podcast that like Bill Maher was on. He was talking about when he was a kid, he couldn't wait to be like. His idols were like Johnny Carson or like James Bond, and all those guys were like 45. And now women's idols are TikTok stars that are all,
Yeah,
19
like
and a
Japanese
half.
teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
There's no respect for old people anymore.
I mean, good for Korean bros though. Like they had it hard for a long time.
Yeah.
So
That K-pop culture was mandated and nurtured by the Korean state. It was a government project.
one of their more successful ones.
yeah.
Yeah, and they did like China should do that. That's something that Moldbug talked about. Is like Chinese people are, the Chinese, the Chinese culture or the government, whatever they are now, is great at top-down managed collective economic growth, but they export nothing that is cool. China, everything about China is so profoundly uncool
It's true,
and uninteresting culturally.
You could probably people saying a similar thing about Russia now. I mean, it's a little different, but basically that they have a good sort of nationalistic culture over there, but the whole world is kind of against them right now because they haven't really successfully been able to.
Yeah.
Exporting cool stuff is one thing, but they haven't. They have not been able to get their side out there, so to speak.
What happened to Russian writing, right? Because
I think about that.
They created the best. Like Gogol and Dostoevsky are unmatched.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I literally just don't have enough familiarity with Russian culture to comment on this. But you do. I mean, on this podcast, we talk about the state of American literature, Western literature. It's look at the top 10 list. It's no good. But I mean, there's something going on with Russia too, because Russia has a great tradition of novels, and I mean, I can't name a single besides Alexander Dugin, who writes nonfiction. Can't name a single living Russian author. Maybe that's a me problem, but I don't know. Yeah, what happened to literary?
I mean,
I guess communism probably happened.
There's one good writer in the entire world now, anyway, and that's Houellebecq.
Oh, they're going to say you.
There's really only one.
I thought that was going to be Takas.
Yeah, no. I do my best. I give myself an A for effort. Let's put it that way. But there's one one guy like Houellebecq is the only living guy that will certainly stand with the ages, right? Maybe just we're in a less literate world.
Well, we definitely are.
There are other more interesting media, right? If I'm fucking in a room and there's a big book and then there's a fucking TV, or there's some fucking porn.
Yeah.
What am I going to pick
right.
up? Am I going to reach for fucking War and Peace, or am I going to choke the chicken and watch My 600-Pound Life?
Yeah.
With regard to Russian media, I don't know if there are any Russian novelists right now who are any good. But what I do know is on Amazon Prime, they have a lot of Russian movies produced by Russia, which is produced by the state, basically.
Right.
They're fucking terrible. There's it's like straight up propaganda.
Right.
And ours is too. Ours is globalist propaganda,
Hollywood
SJW
movies,
propaganda. But it's even a little more nuanced. The Russian stuff is something like straight out of World War I era American propaganda.
Yeah, and Russians actually used to be Soviet film was all right. There were some things,
true,
even sort of slightly propaganda stuff. I mean, yes, they haven't had another Tarkovsky, right? But then we haven't had another Stanley Kubrick, so who knows? All culture is garbage now. Who cares? The good news is that you don't need. There is no. The promise of the internet kind of came true. There's no centralized culture. There are people like me. I'm doing. I have a few thousand people that read me. And that's great, right? It doesn't I'm glad that I'm not at the airport on the New York Times bestseller list or any of that. You don't need to be some propagandistic product.
No, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be compromised to do that, I think, in terms of honesty. I mean, I'm not saying the idea of a mainstream, successful, and good book is impossible, but it doesn't seem likely right now.
Every one that I think is going to be it just ends up being kind of prissy.
Yeah.
Anything I don't know, publishing is so weird, and writers are such weird pussies, and I'm not saying I'm some fucking manly man or something, but one of the reasons Houellebecq is so great is that he had a job. He had to have a fucking job. Sam Pink is somebody I really love, and Sam's got a fucking job. He's a normal dude that has to fucking wake up and put on his pants and go perform services for for someone. So there is something about like just being in touch with normal life.
No, yeah. In order to be one of those top 10 list writers, you have to be part of like an ultra elite cast of people who are like given this money by whomever to basically do nothing with their life and write. And yeah,
coming
I'm
out
not
of MFA programs, where they never had jobs.
Yeah.
They just learned how to write, and they learned how to write from people who want them to write the same type of thing. And
Yeah, I think about this. So the MFA question, right? Because I've talked to a few people that have MFAs recently. This is something I'm always curious about, right? I obviously have like a resentment toward something that I fight not to have, but I do when I see people getting book advances or basically like getting in a position where they can get pussy from writing, right?
Yeah.
Be in at like New York parties and stuff, and I don't want to be a person that defines themselves in opposition to that, right? Like if somebody offered me a publishing deal, it would be pretty cool. I might not take it because I like watching the charts on Amazon and like I like collecting the money myself and not having somebody fucking steal it from me. But that seems cool to like. So I know this guy John Lindsay who wrote a book called Body High, which is a great book, outstanding book that everybody listening to my voice should go buy. So he got a publishing deal. He's got an MFA, and sort of he went the traditional route, and it really doesn't sound that bad. And the product is not compromised. In other words, it's a fucking real book. It's not a shit fucking pussy book. It's like it's as real as it gets, right? So it can be done, and I think the resentment I feel about that, or any feeling I have to be like fucking MFA culture is bullshit, is just because what I should have done is fucking stuck with an undergraduate writing program instead of dropping out of college, and then got a fucking MFA, and then been in fucking Paris Review, and what would my shit be like? I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting thought experiment, right? Because there is an element of, I don't fucking know. Like writing is, think about like, is it like punk music or is it like classical music?
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe there is something to going to a conservatory. At the same time, if you think of a writer, the idea of a writer as teacher, how would you teach somebody to write? Like people ask me how to write constantly, and I tell them what worked for me, which is wake up early and type.
I don't think you can teach it. I think you can teach habits.
Yeah.
You can workshop, right?
And you can workshop.
You can, force people to write and workshop their writing, but you can't teach people to have like a good.
This is if I taught a class, here's what I would do. I would go in. First of all, I would fuck all my hot students as soon as possible. I would go in and I'd tell my students like, look, first 2 months, you're going to just write every day for an hour or half an hour, and not show anybody, and fucking don't think about if it's good or not. Just go like this, clickety clack on the keyboard for every day. Though. Don't skip a day. Next step is you're going to, somewhere in that vault of material you've now created, because you've written, a 700 or 800 page book of stream of consciousness. Find a story.
Yeah.
And then step one is give me the 10,000 word version of that story, right?
It's
The beginning,
a good
middle,
plan,
and end.
actually.
Step two is give me the 5,000 word version of that story. Step three is give me the 2,500 word version. Step four is give me the 1,250 word version. Then look at those 4 versions of the story. Which is the best one? That's what I would do.
It's a good plan.
Yeah. So do that. If you're listening to this podcast, fucking try it. Try it and see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I have been trying to, I wrote a novel, and, that was, a great experience. It is being published by Terror House.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And, but it's hard to get into that mind frame to write, because, at the time when I was writing it, I was furloughed at the start of COVID, and, I had 4 hours a day, which I would write, and, that you get into the rhythm, into the character voice But then, like, you have to keep it up writing every day. If you only write on the weekend, at least for me, then, you lose whatever the character was thinking, whatever the strain of thought that you were, like, running with.
Yeah.
You got to create it again.
Well, but people do these things different ways, right? Like, I do pick stuff up and then put it down. I pick projects up and put them down. Sometimes my daily writing is just like, fuck, I can't write today,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do go through dry spells, so there are multiple approaches. And again, is it like a weightlifting approach where you have to do it a certain amount, or is it like a prize fighting approach where you have a certain amount of fights you can step in the ring in your life before your mind is just erased by taking that left hook, right? Like Sam said that he takes breaks. Bukowski took breaks. Houellebecq has, a book every 5 years. Part of what I do is I blog a lot as both a means of self-expression and kind of keep my chops up, my editing chops up, but also as part of the promotion, because part of what you have to do in what I'm going to say, this scene, right? If you are a self-published writer or a small, Nazi publishing house writer, what's up, Matt? Matt, I will see you in fucking Mindanao this time next year in the Philippines. So you are all you got in terms of promotion. It's you and your little network, and the good news is you can promote yourself better than an institution can promote you, because nobody can sell books and nobody knows how to sell books. But you're all you got, so you got to keep putting material out there. The mistake that I see people make the most is they want to do, they're young and they write a couple of things, one or two of them are good, and they want to just plug that one thing. And the way you get an audience is by writing 100 things. You just plug and plug and plug and plug and plug and be a place that people can come back to. There are a certain amount of people that are looking for something good to read. There's not a lot of new good shit to read out there. And like, when that person finds your website, you want them to have 100 other things to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's also the best feel. Like, if you find a good new YouTube channel or something, like the best time to watch a TV series is after it's wrapped.
Yeah.
And you can watch the entire show. It sucks waiting a week for every new episode. It sucks waiting for a fucking guy's new book, right? Because it's going to be years. So you want to be discovered at a time when you have material that a person can really get into and enjoy, and then they'll start following your new shit.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And unfortunately, it's like a feature of modern life that, like, you might write a great book and that might it'll take you 2 years or whatever, but you might also write an essay that gets shared much more widely and gets you a much bigger audience than you wrote in the morning.
Yeah.
And like, so it's important, I think, to keep, those both things in mind. It's great to write real works of art, and a short essay, not to say it's not a real work of art, that can get you a lot of exposure and a lot of readers.
The other thing about book sales and book promotion is dudes think about it like we are, because a movie is considered the big canonical artwork in our culture, right? And a movie movie success is measured by its opening weekend. People think that you have to have a successful book launch too, and the reality is it's a long tail. And I'm looking at a copy of my book, The Pussy by Delicious Tacos, available wherever fine books are sold. And like, I sold very few of these when it first came out, and then I sold more of these last month than I did the first month it was out. And it just, you keep plugging it.
Keep
you can
plugging
plug
it.
the,
Yeah.
I've been shilling this fucking book for 6 years. And it keeps trucking.
Buy the pussy.
By the pussy.
Yeah.
When you hear this podcast, if it's just come out, my book Savage Spear of the Unicorn, my newest one, is on sale for $3 on Amazon. So go check it out.
No, we'll release this pretty soon, so
Yeah.
I think it'll probably still be
Great.
No, I do want to comment on the writing habits of it all. I gotta say, if it means anything to you, the first time we spoke on, I was on a different podcast, my friend Robert's podcast, at the very end of 2020, and it was around the time I had just turned 26, so I felt I was kind of entering my later 20s, and I wanted to like cultivate better habits in my life. And you had said on the podcast I did with you, and obviously you say this elsewhere, your whole line about you got to wake up every morning and write. I think you've even said the same thing about like lifting and fitness, and it really did influence me at the time, and it has continued. Like my life since then, I probably was going to. I'm not trying to like give you too much credit, like tacos, you changed my life, but like
I
definitely,
am absolutely a life changing.
definitely that it was around my 26th birthday, and there was a moment around that time I did that podcast where I kind of got my shit together a little bit more with regard to a lot of things, but most importantly, perhaps, with writing and having a consistent habit there.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, life is all about your fucking habits, man. It's not about the special occasions. It's about what you do on a fucking Tuesday.
Yeah.
Lifting and physical training is, I guess, another like right-wing thing that I espouse, right? It's very right-wing to be in good shape. To have good cardio.
Yeah.
I have been training Muay Thai. That's that's a right-wing thing.
Notice that in the writing.
Midlife crisis thing. Yeah, I'm mostly talking about getting the shit kicked out of me.
Tacos beat us up before the podcast.
The irony is, like, I started doing it because a guy threatened me in the park.
Yeah, I think I remember the story.
And I was like, if that had escalated, I have no plan. So I went and started training how to box, and then the boxing was giving me brain damage, so I switched to Muay Thai. And like the irony being that I've now like voluntarily taken ass beatings that the guy in the park couldn't give me in a million years. Like, that guy could not throw like a fucking roundhouse kick into my liver, which I'll tell you is the worst, worst feelings you'll ever experience. Yeah.
Jesus.
A lot of the stereotypical right-wing thing is like pack heat so you can be protected, but honestly, physical training is probably more important because you're not always going to have a gun.
It's also like
you don't want to kill someone, but it would be pretty sweet to kick someone's ass if they threatened you.
I don't know. I still don't know if I can kick someone's ass, and I hope I don't ever find out. Like, it's a different scenario when I'm like fully stretched, like my hamstrings are all loose. I've got a mouth guard in. I'm wearing 16-ounce pillows on my hands and like padded greaves, but it's good for your fitness. Like fighting training is the best thing for your cardio that I've ever found, because if you don't get your cardio up, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. So like you're real motivated. Like,
you're motivated. It's real.
Runs.
It's not, it's not masturbatory. I mean, I guess it's sparring. It's not like a real fight, but it's as close to real as you can get.
Yeah, sparring can get pretty salty. Like, not even whatever. I'm not doing anything hardcore, but like you can catch one. You know?
I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in college.
And
like I was never more exhausted in my life than at the end of a session of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just because like wrestling with people for like an hour, it's the most exhausting thing in the world. And I've never been as exhausted. And people do get salty when you're sparring. Like I remember one guy, and also like it's always the newbies who are the worst because they don't know how to behave. And like one guy kept trying to like bend my fingers back. I'm like, no, that's not fair.
It's uncool.
It's not how we do things.
It's not like MMA.
But I mean, it's also like actually in the street that is what would happen.
Right.
So it's kind of it's kind of a flaw in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
It's
system.
another point about the importance of habits, though, right? Because what you do, you need cardio. If you're going to spar, believe me, like you're going to want like more. It's like spending money on vacation, right? Like when you you do not want to fucking gas out. The only solution is to have more money. The only solution is to have more cardio. Fortunately, the path to getting more cardio is clear. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You fucking get a backpack full of heavy shit, you put it on your back, and you're fucking running up and down 100 stairs, or you run up a mountain, or you jump some rope, which fucking sucks. Or you do bag work and you just make sure that you do a pyramid of kicks, which is, believe me, fucking exhausting.
What about biking?
I used to bike a lot. I enjoy biking when I'm actually like trying to take my bicycle from one place to another for a non-fitness reason. I think that I think there's I have an aesthetic problem with guys who wear the spandex
Oh,
shirt
me too. Me
with
too.
the brand logos on it that are like Italian fucking Italian, you know, whatever it is, like Fiat and all this other like Italian horse shit and the, you know, weird little fucking Smurf helmet and shit and like
Wrapped
just,
sausage.
yeah, there's something, it says something very that's a real middle-aged thing. I think when you're 50 you start getting like I had a
Like those guys probably get all that expensive shit for Christmas from their wives and whatnot. It's kind of, yeah.
I had an ex who had her Tinder match age set up to into the 50s, right? And that was what every guy in their 50s who is on Tinder, which is like, please come. By the way, if you see me on Tinder when I'm over 50, like, please come, like, shoot me. But that's what they all got is the super fucking, you know, super Italian bike with the shot of them, like, in the spandex with the fucking shorts with the like pad making it look like they have no dick, and then the logos all over them like raising their hands in triumph just to show that like
They can still.
yeah, like I'm still my heart still
I'm not-
beats. That's
yeah.
what their selling point is at
Yeah.
this point. Like my lungs still operate, my heart's pretty good, you know.
Got more gas in the tank.
Oh my god, who knows? All the shit that I disparage like older people for, I will 100% end up doing.
Yeah. Well, you famously had a bike stolen once, right?
I did have a bike stolen and I went and got it back.
Oh, you did? Okay, I always wondered about that.
I got it. Yeah, I went to the fucking. I just canvassed. I answered ads on Craigslist for bikes of the same model, and I went to one.
Oh, sweet.
I went to one house and like
Smart.
I see it, and it's a guy's yard sale, and the guy looks like fucking Danny Trejo, but like huge. And I'm like, and I go look at the bike, and it's like got slightly different color stripes, and I was like, oh, thank God, you know. But then I went and found it at a used bike shop, and so I went in and I was like, hey man, you got my bike? And he was just like, yep. So he just gave it back to me.
That's sweet.
Well, yeah.
Matt and I wanted to also bring up the topic of pussy to you.
Yes.
But a specific type of pussy, the actual animals,
Uh,
cats.
yes.
And we both Matt and I have cat stories. And
Yeah.
you have a cat story.
I do have a cat story. Well, I have a lot of cat stories. So my cat now, you know, my beloved cat Bud died. He was killed by my neighbor's pit bull.
Pit bulls fucking. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't want
Yeah.
to say any animals.
Yeah,
sucks,
you know what?
but-
Like I've done a lot of work to like just be okay with pit bulls, right? Like I had a pit bull like wander into my house the other day. Just wander.
What?
Jesus.
There's a fucking
Yeah,
pit bull,
yeah.
and it was like a message from God, like fucking be at peace, right? A nice pit bull like wandering around, like it's not. They're dangerous dogs, and people, you know, should be responsible about having them because they do fucking obviously.
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
13% of the dogs commit 52% of the crimes here, but
Right.
But this pit bull was wandering around at night and wandered into my house, and then it just came and hung out with me. Hung out with me, sorry.
Right.
You know, like what is this fucking huge ass? I open the back door and there's like a giant white animal in the darkness. I'm like, "Ah!" And then it's just a pit bull like wagging his tail, big muscular looking like ghetto looking pit bull, you know, junkyard dog pit bull. And I'm like, what do you want, man? And he's like, he just wants to fucking hang out. He just wanted to come and sit in my house and
Well,
hang out with
just
me.
chill.
Pit bulls are weird because they can be exceptionally sweet, even
Yeah.
as dogs go.
Oh,
I mean,
extremely friendly dogs.
I had a-
The problem is they snap.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I had a roommate who had a pit bull, and I loved it, but like one time it attacked like a gardener or something. I wasn't there, but like I heard about that. I was like, oh damn. So I am a little bit in the I don't know. They're kind of sketchy.
Yeah, but my cat died, and I got kicked out of my apartment, and I was depressed and sad. I moved into a new place, and then there was a cat hunting gophers in the yard. I planted a garden, and gophers were eating my crops, and then one day I noticed a gray cat sitting in my garden waiting for the gopher to come out and fucking rip his head off. And I was like, hey, buddy, you know, I asked around, what's the deal with this cat? People were like, nobody knows. He's feral. So I left food out for him for a year, just every day leaving out food and trying to get close to him. One day he let me pet him, and now he comes in and fucking hangs out, and he's a giant love hog. He had some, you know, I took him to the vet. He had a health problem that could have killed him. I fucking took him to the vet a couple times, and like had to keep him in the house at, you know, post surgery for that. And like, I love this cat. His name is Woodrow.
Yeah.
He's a feral cat from the yard, and he's the best, dude. I love this fucking guy.
And you use your AMC profits for that, right?
I did. I bought some AMC stock, and then I sold a bunch of it to cover one of Woodrow's egregious vet bills. Yes.
It's one of the best stories to come out of that
Yeah.
pump.
No, for sure. Yeah. No, not this house, but I have another address. It's a long story, but basically, that neighborhood.
House.
Yeah, that neighborhood. There's like tons of stray cats. So over the course of the pandemic, working from home every day, I also started feeding some of the local ones, and a couple of them have become very friendly with, and yeah, like let them in the house, as you said.
Yeah, dude. There you
So-
go. Fucking nothing like a good cat. It's a great balance of like loving, cuddly, pointy ears, cute animal, and like savage, murderous beast.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially. So I started. I think I tweeted about this, but I started feeding these two. I guess kittens are like young cats at the beginning of the pandemic, male and a female. And yeah, you really start to see the gender difference as they get older, because neither of them are like neutered or fixed or anything. And I used to just kind of like, pet them both, bring them inside. But now the female cat just hangs out on the porch all day. Like she just wants to be pet and fed. And the male one, like I don't know. I saw this with Woodrow too. Like when they're not neutered and maybe he is neutered now or something.
Yeah, he is.
But like he's kind of got those like big cheeks and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, like that's the effect of testosterone on a cat or something.
He's definitely he is constantly in a war with the neighbor's cats. Like he has
Yeah.
an enemy.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. The male cat that used to be very sweet, like he got big walnut cheeks. I mean, I feel bad because like he comes around. It's always. I think he's like pretty alpha. I think he's kicking more ass than getting his ass kicked. But it's very evident that he's going around and fighting other cats. And like I'll know he's in the yard because he just meows really loudly. I mean, just the effects of testosterone on cats.
Male
Seem
cats.
pretty stark, yeah.
Aggressive. Like my childhood cat, he was neutered, and in those days, it's sad we wouldn't do it now, but he was declawed, and so he was a house cat. We had strays in the yard, and he would always try to escape. And one day I see him escaping, and he's like headed bounding toward like a group of strays huddled together, and I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna get fucked up by these stray cats. But he scatters them and jumps on one of them and starts like biting the fuck out of him. I had to pull my cat off the stray cat.
Yeah, baby.
I'm like, oh, I didn't
Fuck
know
him
you
up.
were
What was,
so
what was his
alpha.
name?
Rocky.
Fuck him up, Rocky.
Rocky, like a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Male cats can be pretty.
Cats hate each other
based.
so much. Why can't they just fucking chill out?
I know.
Yeah. Like we had two cats, and he would bully the other cat his whole life.
I guess it's like they're territorial because there's only a certain amount of like rats in a certain amount of acreage.
Right. I always, when I was learning about like tigers and whatnot growing up, it's like, there's one of them in like an X square mile. And you can tell even with, stray cats that a similar thing. Like they have territory.
Yeah,
they
they-
spray
yeah.
and they'll kick your ass.
It's the same with
Transgress.
birds of prey all hate each other, except when they mate. They have a little
Right.
hormonal change. They get together, mate, raise a chick, and then they fucking hate each other again and just
Yeah.
do nothing but like fucking dive bomb each other to drive the enemy off the territory.
Yeah, no. Bird behavior, cat behavior, lots of weird hormonal influence stuff.
Yeah, maybe
They're-
we should all neuter ourselves and we'd be much more pleasant.
Yeah. No, cats for me were kind of a weird not quarter. I don't know if I had a quarter life crisis or not. Maybe not, but like I've definitely changed a lot over the past few years, and I grew up like a total dog person to the point that I didn't even really like cats that much, and I've like switched 180.
Well,
Like,
maybe you got toxoplasmosis.
I actually, when I learned about that, I was like, I just started. It was around the time my brother got a cat. I wasn't living with my brother, but I would be around for Christmas. Like maybe I got it then because it's a hard switch. Like I'm now fully a cat person for the reason
That's
you said.
probably it. So toxoplasmosis is this parasite that, or bacteria or something that lives in cat shit, and it's got this real complicated life cycle, and its real victim is like a rat, or it can only reproduce inside a rat or something. But it makes rats more impulsive and less afraid of cats, so that they get near the cats and get infected or infect the cat or something. And then it's in the cat shit, and there was a study that came out recently that kids who had been exposed to outdoor cats were more likely to have all these like addiction problems and all the things that I have basically. I always had cats when I was a kid, and it's like it makes you fucking horny, sex addict, like borderline, like BPD.
Oh, so
Makes
in
you like a
addition to
tomcat.
liking cats, I will now be more likely to have these issues as well.
more impulsive and riding a motorcycle without a helmet and all the other shit that we do, and it's all geared towards the toxoplasmosis organism is steering you towards, I don't know what it is, getting closer to cat shit, or just
Loving cats.
have it spreading your corpse in some other place where it can infect more cats or something. But I'm playing with the idea of like some kind of toxoplasmosis story now. Like what is the angle here? It seems like a good short story for a guy guy that gets toxoplasmosis.
Yeah.
Maybe it like
Like,
makes
as
an
a-
alpha, and he like finally gets a girlfriend because
Yeah.
he has toxoplasmosis.
I think it's more about like this concept that like we think what we do, like reductionist. It would be an echo of this reductionist evolutionary psychobiology that people practice, right? Like where there's no like real meaning to life. It's all just like we're adapted to assert dominance over the other man, and like all these nerds talking about all these like women want to extract resources from the man, whereas the man wants to inseminate as many females as possible, and it's all just really dry and robs the lived experience of any meaning. And so the angle is somewhere in that where like this guy has had this incredibly meaningful, passionate life, right? And like chasing after women, and he's doing the impulsive things that toxoplasmosis makes you do. And it's all like he feels like he's driven by some spirit, right?
Yeah.
A thumos, if you will. And then it's really just the fucking toxoplasmosis. Like toxoplasmosis is his real master. The real purpose of his life is just to like get like other people near cat shit as much as possible. Or something,
There is something, kind of poignant but also hilarious there. Yeah. Can we expect this to be a chapter in True Love?
In True Love,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to. So True Love, I'm still kind of sorting it out. I've been adding more. I still have not like cracked the main meat of it yet.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't speak from a place of experience because you've written way more than me, but as someone who's written a novel and is conceptualizing other stuff, sometimes you know what you want to write about a long time before you know
How it's
anything
gonna
that's going to
sound.
generate a plot, or
Yeah.
even just
So I know what the plot is kind of spiritually, and I have some ideas of what it might be mechanically, but I just haven't. Like I did finally some good news, and there was a moment when the plot started rolling in that one, and it was like, okay, and then I was just on from there.
Yeah.
And like I'm not there yet with True Love.
I see.
I've written the inciting incident, I think.
Nice.
Okay.
And I know what the beats are, and I know what the ending is, but I also like one thing I told myself is I'm just gonna not have any deadline pressure with this. Like I'm just not gonna like if it takes years, it's gonna take years.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let it
yeah.
take years. And so
I think that's how I have to be.
But
And you're
yeah.
blogging in the meantime. So.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
toxoplasmosis thing could be part of it, maybe. Like
Yeah.
there was room in it for sort of extraneous chapters, stories within stories, Decameron type stuff. It's a much more maximalist than Finally.
That was always my impression in
Yeah.
hearing you talk about it, but
It's
but no.
looser, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think that it is about true love.
It's about true love, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think we talk about the whole tacos vibe shift. It sounds like this. I don't want to use the word soft because whatever, it'll be fine. Especially in our scene, I feel like soft is considered bad, but it's nice, to hit that register where it's about these more sensitive emotions.
Yeah,
Is
look,
that accurate?
I've always been a huge pussy. I'm identified with like maleness and manosphere and all this other shit. I've always been a huge sensitive pussy, and I've always hated the guys that are like your feelings get blah blah blah. Your feelings don't matter, and forget about it. Or that one, which is like okay, jerk off. Like, what's your favorite song? Do you think somebody wasn't feeling something when they wrote it? Like, I hate like stiff autistic masculinity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then stop complaining is the other big thing I always get. Stop complaining or stop telling, why would I take advice from you? Like, number one, like, again, what's your favorite song? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the great novels of the world? Do you not think somebody was fucking complaining? And I've never said I was giving anybody fucking advice. Stupid. Like I never told anybody that this is how to live. I was poor, can barely afford 99 cents a pound chicken parts, living in a fucking, 1 bedroom under a family that ran around on the hardwood floors all day. Like I've never put myself out as a role model for anybody. But yeah, I've always been a fucking huge weeby pussy, and that certainly isn't changing. So, but the vibe, there is a vibe shift, and again, the vibe shift is just giving up on the strife of it all and the urgency of it all. Like I need like when I turned 40, I was like, it was too late, and I was like, I gotta fucking get married and have a kid, and like the more I grasped at that, like the farther away it flew.
Yeah.
It's one of these things. There's a couple pieces of wisdom that I didn't come up with, but that, you can either control your life or you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then this is another thing I heard Bill Maher say recently, which is like happiness is like a butterfly, right? Like if you try to catch it, it's going to fly away from you. Kiss joy as it flies, as to paraphrase William Blake. So I'm letting it go. I'm fucking letting it go.
I hear you. Yeah, I mean, there is this. People view you as someone who is at times pessimistic, neurotic, whatever. But there is this incredible. I don't want to use the word fucking zen, but there's a great calmness in your writing and a romanticism.
I do want to address the pessimism thing too, which is that I know that I write. Sometimes I read my own shit and I'm like, holy shit, I was really fucking complaining a lot about. Things are pretty good for me most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like I am like a reasonably good-looking dude who lives in a sunny climate, and I got a fucking nice cat, and things are good, right?
Right.
And I write about that. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, fucking boy, I enjoyed my coffee this morning, and what a healthy shit I took. Yeah, it's boring. You can't put that in a book, right?
Yeah. And people give you shit about it if you're a blogger complaining, quote unquote. But Welbeck is fucking pessimistic too, and I mean some people would fault him for that, but I think some of the same people who'd be like, shut up, tacos, stop complaining, would probably Welbeck, so they don't realize. Yeah, you write about not you personally, but any writer has to write about some kind of darkness, or not necessarily darkness, but some kind of strife.
It has to be interesting. Yeah,
exactly.
And you have to be honest, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're writing, trying to write some stereotypically masculine honor or whatever, this and that, like, it's not gonna sound very honest or very, interesting because you're shutting off whole parts of yourself.
I think whenever somebody has a message, right? I'm beginning to think like anybody who has strong political beliefs is an asshole, and like anybody that has a philosophy is an asshole. Or like thinks even thinks about philosophy too much is an asshole.
I was a philosophy major. But I'm recovering.
There's a certain stiffness in the sphere, right? And people call there's a scene that people would call misogynistic, but that's not even quite what it is. It's just like clenched and stiff. And I never like outwardly think about masculinity. Because I'm a man, dude. Like, I'm masculine enough. And you know what? Like, playing folk music on the guitar is masculine.
Oh, very much. Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be raw eggs and running around with a fucking chain around your neck, deadlifting and shit. Like, I do plenty of masculine shit. I don't know.
Yeah. No, definitely.
You have, I think, maybe it was on BAP's podcast, mentioned that, and this is an advice to younger men and all of this, that the dating market is grim as it is.
Yeah.
The new formula might be fame plus game.
That came from Roosh, so I cannot take credit. This is Roosh pre, conversion to Ukrainian Orthodoxy. Was a great game writer, and he said in the future, I'm about to sneeze, excuse me.
Bless you.
Motherfucker.
Bless you.
I hope you keep that in. He said in the future you'll need game plus fame. And it's just because it's becoming more. This is the thing that Andrew Tate also said, which is that a woman can now get attention from a man anywhere in the world. So a chick who's posting her ass on Instagram is getting likes from a guy in Djibouti. Like you cannot, and also like every horny guy with $10 million and a boat is also trying to pursue the same woman, right? So it's mega Pareto principle. Few guys are getting girls. This is all old news, but Rush's differentiator was, fame plus game, and one of the examples he said is you have to be the editor of a notorious cupcake newsletter, right? It doesn't. You don't have to be Timothée Chalamet. You have to just be. They have to know your name. This is another thing that Adam Carolla used to say. It's like all that matters is they know your name, right?
Yeah.
And
so
that has power.
Yeah.
Especially in this economy where I was talking with my girlfriend the other day and about how approaching is different these days.
Yeah.
And I, of course maintain I'm not approaching women, honey.
Yeah.
But everyone's looking at their phones.
Yeah.
So if I were to approach any girl, like she's looking at her phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, excuse me, ma'am, I'm trying to hit on you.
So you got to be the guy that's on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy she's looking at on the phone.
Right, yeah,
Right,
exactly. And it sucks, but it doesn't suck for me because I'm marginally famous, so it actually works out pretty well. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
The problem is that I got doxxed at my job, so I had to stop showing face.
Right.
And then I write in a self-deprecating manner about what I look like, right? Mm-hmm. So I think women bought it, they all think that I'm ugly now, so they stopped. Every time I meet a woman who has read my stuff, she tries to have sex with me. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, related to that or not, we definitely wanted to pitch the thing that's happening on April 15th. Is it 14th of Thursday?
Now God knows if it will actually stick, right? So I am supposed to do a reading at the Ace Hotel downtown at 9 p.m. and it's a whole night of shit. It's from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. I'm going on early because I go to bed early.
Yeah.
Will that still be happening by the time this airs? Who knows?
So I hope so.
Watch my Twitter feed, delicious_tacos. Yeah. I'm going to go do a reading, and I'll be on there for 10 minutes, right? So if you don't make it, don't feel bad. And if you can't make it, I'll do another one, if it's good. But you never know when you're working with other people. And that's another great thing about being a writer and not having a publisher is you don't have to fucking collaborate with anybody. When you are working with other people, things can go away at any time. This is a reading that's organized by a magazine called Forever Magazine. It's these two women that are cool. They seem great. The magazine looks good. Fucking venue seems good. Everything seems good. You never fucking know you never know when SJWism is going to rear its ugly head and get that shit canceled. There's another reading the same night from kind of the same scene.
At Stories. Yeah.
At Stories, which is ironically where I wrote a lot of the pussy.
Oh, that's an interesting bit. Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm going to go to that one too. John Lindsay is actually reading there. My friend Steph is reading there.
Right.
But why are there two readings in the same night? What the fuck is going on? Is that one of them a counter reading to the other one? Is there some weird gossipy scene shit happening?
You never know. Scene stirs.
Is somebody gonna fucking get canceled? Is it fucking gonna be blah blah? Whatever. Is it all Peter Thiel's money secretly funding this shit? Who the fuck knows? So it could all go away.
But we hope it happens.
And I don't really care, honestly. I'm going to do my best to give you, the fucking audience member, the best reading I can. Let's be real. Going to a fucking prose reading sucks balls. It's the worst art form ever. It's like getting a fucking nice book, cracking it open in a hot bath and relaxing, or sitting outside on a nice day in your lawn chair, right? Why do I need some fucking dude reading the shit to me that I could simply read into my own mind at my own pace?
Well,
which
sure,
is a much far superior experience. Now, there's a novelty. People can come and see what I look like.
No, we were saying, have you done readings before? Or this would be your first, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I've done, real little ones maybe. And again, I'm not I have no talent as a performer, so there's nothing to to there's no appeal that I'm going to get on there and put on a good show. You're going to hear my nerdy voice like you're hearing now. It's going to sound like this, except it's going to be my fucking books. So, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. It's just like a toe in the water, right? I just want to get out there and like fucking maybe I'll get laid,
Right.
Maybe I'll impress like whatever girl I'm dating if I bring her there and like she's like, oh fuck, you really are fucking people do.
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, I
Plus
think
game.
yeah, exactly. Fame plus game. I mean, I think that's what's appealing about it to me. It's not that it's not like, as you said, it's not like reading a book is like seeing a band perform, but it's just the social element of a very online scene.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of us here in LA, so it would be cool to
Yeah.
like, just rub shoulders.
Sure,
Yeah.
I guess it would be cool. Who knows though? Who the fuck knows, man?
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
I was in this. There's a guy named Asher Penn who makes a magazine called Sex Magazine. They interviewed me in Sex
Oh, I've
Magazine.
heard of that.
Yeah,
I've heard of it too.
and I went to the launch party, the Sex Magazine launch party, and like one or two people came up, were like, blah blah blah. I introduced myself. Oh, I'm actually in this fucking magazine. Delicious Tacos. Like, holy shit, you're Delicious Tacos. Like, that's such a. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And it feels very cocaine-ish to me. It's like, the desire, like part of me wants fame and acclaim and praise and the cool people to like me
Yeah.
really
of course.
bad.
Yeah.
Like part of me wants that really bad. And like wants it in a way that it's the same way that I want to fucking smoke crack, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously like the sense that I got is like, this is a feeling I can never have. I need to immediately diffuse this and just establish like I'm a fucking schmuck that fucking blogs, right? That used to post in the fucking Rushby forum about getting pussy in the Philippines. So like don't look up to me, right? Like, or at least I just do my best. I just fucking sit down. I really do my best. I try to create a good product, and it's like a guy that is trying to make you a fucking pair of shoes, like a cobbler trying to make you the best pair of shoes. That's all I want to do. You put on the shoes, they fit you good, they're comfortable, you can walk around, there's no fucking holes. I didn't fucking cut corners on the materials. That's what it is. So, but I lust after that celebrity, and then, a lot of the girls on that scene are fucking hot, and I want them to fucking see me as like a underground like cult writer that's cool, Bukowski-ish fucking, bad boy, when in fact I'm a nerd. I'm a fucking nerd that uses Microsoft Excel, right? I wake up at 6 a.m. and I go to my corporate job and I fucking make spreadsheets. So there's whatever. But I want pussy and, I want pussy.
One of the real tensions in our sphere is like, obviously we all don't dox, like
Yeah.
your Delicious Tacos. I'm Dan Baltic. Matt is Matt Pegas. Not our real names.
Yeah.
And but you want to have be known. You want to meet people who read your writing. You want to get to get out there.
Yeah.
So it's
So
human
but-
desire to connect.
But I don't think that the online relationship, and especially because I'm a blogger too, and I'm on Twitter, I don't think the online relationship is inferior to the IRL relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't look down on it. And the people that I know from online I consider to be good, real friends. That there's dudes that like I fucking look, if they need something, I need favor or whatever. Like, and I don't think that that's a relationship that's lacking or should be scoffed at.
True, yeah.
Really, it's more about like. So I don't really give a shit about meeting my male readers. Like I want to meet my fucking female readers that have big tits.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But with this reading, you're potentially sharing a stage with Eugene Kodolenko. Are you familiar with him? Yeah.
No, I've never heard of any of the.
Oh,
people
okay.
that
I
you
was.
I
was
no
just wondering-
offense to any of them. I'm sure, like, I'll try to familiarize myself. I've never heard of any of these fucking people.
He's got some clout. He's made a couple movies. He's a filmmaker.
Okay.
Dasha was in a couple.
Yeah,
of
Dasha
movies.
from Red Scare was in one of his movies. So my question,
Is it one of the ones where she was naked?
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay, then I've seen a
Wallace
lot
Alice.
of
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of freeze frames from his films. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, Wobble Palace is a
Maybe
pretty
not
good movie,
Frozen.
but I was gonna ask if there had been some connection there. Like I was hoping that maybe he was gonna make finally some good news, the indie film. But,
Yeah. Well, if he wants to cut me a fucking check, he's welcome to make finally some good news. Like, my view on movies is I worked in as you know I worked in
Right.
Hollywood for 9 years. Like, if I never have to look at like fucking final draft formatting again, like it's a good that's a good day. If I never have to, whatever. If somebody wants to make a movie of my shit, absolutely do it. I cannot be creatively involved.
oh, okay. That's your.
I just
you just
want-
don't want to look at the final draft
I
format.
want
I get that.
I want the check. I want fucking the promotional ability to use the existence of the movie to sell my books. And I want you, the filmmaker, to have a great experience and make the best movie of your life. I fucking hope, but I don't care. I want, because I'm done with that. Like, if I have to revisit the world of Finally Some Good News, which I put everything into that. I put everything into that I could. And maybe it has flaws now. I don't know. But like, I can't look at it.
Yeah.
If I'm reading that book, if I pick it up and I'm flipping through it, and it is a good book because I end up like reading through it every time. Not to jerk myself off, but whatever. I fucking did my best. And then I see that like there's a fucking typo or something. I'm like, I cannot open this goddamn document and correct this typo. Like,
oh man.
so the concept of like revisiting the characters and then somehow cracking like the real appeal of the book, right? It's like the character has no name, describe him very little. Because you, the reader, are the character. That's you. That's you, and you're living.
Oh, that's how it
that.
Which is
reads.
a
I mean,
male
that's how all
fantasy.
your work reads.
Yeah, that's what it's,
actually.
and that's
Nuclear war.
that's what
male
I
fantasy.
It's the nameless character that is you, right? So the idea of like it can be done. It would probably be a who the fuck knows, man? I don't want to talk myself out of any potential.
Right, I
Like
don't
it would
know.
be cool for there to be a movie of my books. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I say that I wouldn't want to do the screenplay, and then like
Yeah.
I'd read somebody else's version of the screenplay, and be like, "Oh, you fucking schmuck!
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you add the?
No, I mean, because at the beginning of the conversation you said, I mean, I don't know if this is exactly what you meant,
Yeah.
but there is this hope, and maybe there has been for a while, from people in our general sphere, like at some point there's going to be, maybe a little more money, whether it's teal bucks or what, flowing through, and like maybe this little corner of the internet of Twitter, maybe there'll be some more flourishing. Not that it'll go like mainstream, but just that like things like movies and
where
a
people
broader
can make a
audience.
living off it.
Where people
And
can make a living off of it. I
and
mean, that's
it's-
happening a little bit with some podcasts
Yes,
now.
sure. Again, movies and TV are no way to make a living.
Right.
Working in the movies because you like stories is like working in a slaughterhouse because you like animals.
Yikes, but yeah.
So I think that again, for any filmmakers listening, I don't mean to like. I just have PTSD from like
I know.
working in I for 9 years.
I get it.
So,
Yeah,
like,
it's development specifically.
Yeah,
so.
exactly
I mean,
right.
Hollywood in general
yeah.
sucks, but like development.
I cannot go through a development process. Now, I have just met with a screenwriter last month about one of my stories, and like if she wants to run with it, great. Like
Yeah.
run with it, right? And like I don't like. Also, I remember like I adapted books or I worked on adapting books when I was working in Hollywood, and like I think that's a fucking dream for like the writer to be like, I
Yeah.
want no involvement, right? You never got to hear from me. That
Yeah.
would be great,
Yeah. I mean, I bring all this up because it sounds like you're not necessarily sold on the idea that this is going to happen. To finally get some news, finally some good news movie. But my impression has always been that you do have some connections still with screenwriters and stuff. And like
Yeah, maybe I did, and I talked about finally some good news in the movie with a couple guys that were great, cool guys, and ended up being friends with them. But the movie project never went anywhere because they had to have careers. That's the other thing. Like nobody who touches me can ever have a career.
I mean, hoping that might change, but you never. Yeah, I don't know.
Who cares though? That's the other thing. Like movies are not superior to books, right?
All right. Yeah.
Like books have been around. You can pick up a book from 2,500 years ago, and it's still good. So movies are inferior to books in that way, and it's okay just to have. It's okay for a book just to be a book. Again, this concept that Hollywood has to embrace something for it to be canonical or for it to be part of the culture is horseshit. Movies may not exist in 30 years. So
yeah, I mean, there has been.
Yeah.
They have been losing some cachet.
And then whatever you say about my shit, like I don't think it's right wing or racist or even misogynist. I mean, it's horny. Just being horny doesn't make you a bad person. Stupid bitches. But it certainly is anti-corporate and can never exist in a corporate context, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't think about that shit. Like I just don't. I don't think about the movie deal, the book deal, only except to be like jealous of other people's success. Like I don't actually think about wanting it for myself. I'm thinking about the next book.
Gotcha.
I think the vibe shift in a certain way, the tacos vibe shift, is this realm of art, what have you, is like you mentioned. Your writing isn't really cancelable or that cancelable. It's like you're writing about sex and being a man, and like it's not like some of the other stuff out there.
Well,
and I think the culture is kind of shifting, as we said at the beginning, to be interested in stuff like we're writing.
Well, here's what'll happen. Some younger, handsomer guy will start doing shit like me and become a huge success, right? And it'll be the Sam Pink, Sean Thor Conroe thing, right? Some guy will fucking... who knows? I really don't... You can't be outcome dependent. Books are such a small, pathetic world that you can't really make a living off them anyway, except in rare cases, which is liberating because you can do whatever you want. And that's what I like. I like to do whatever I want. So I'm not a careerist about this. While I do want success, and I would love to be able to make a living off my books, it's not like I don't like lust after it and chase after it, and I don't change the work to achieve that outcome. Mm-hmm. I don't like it would just drive me crazy, and it would suck, and everybody would know instantly. Like, you'd be disgusted. Imagine the disgust if you just like, it would be a total betrayal of the, not to be corny, but the fucking sacred trust. Like what I want, because like, all right, my readers, I serve my readers. My job is to serve you the best thing that I can possibly do. If it sucks, all right, but I fucking tried, dude. I tried to like serve and curate my material to like the best of my ability to give you something that is true and interesting to read, right? That's enough of a goal that you and that's hard enough to do. You can't compromise it by throwing in other shit. Like what's going to fucking
sell.
Yeah, what's going to go viral and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you really never know.
Which is why Matt and I and you, I think, we all have like real jobs, and writing is just something that we do because we love it.
Yeah, I have a real job, and I save and invest every extra fucking penny because it is possible. When you say I'm uncancelable, remember that I took down 225 blog posts, about 750 pages of material, and made it password protected. So there are cancelable things. I mean, there's racist jokes and shit. It's not talking about fucking maybe being attracted to women that are 17 years, 11 months, and 29 days old. So I'm cancelable, and it's a reality that like I could be rendered unemployable in decent society for a life at any time. Mm-hmm. I can't give that much of a shit. Like, what's the alternative, right? Like, not doing it, I would fucking...
Also, I mean, pretty much any honest any remotely honest straight guy is on some. I mean, I'm not obviously you actually had a blog. You're associated like you're maybe. I'm not saying you're obviously a bit more cancelable than a lot of people, but I really do. You see, obviously if it's like celebrities or in Hollywood, it's going to be more likely. But you see guys who are just pretty normal go down for almost nothing, and it's like at that. So it's that because it's so easy to get canceled. It's almost like you just feel like I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and like maybe I have been an asshole. I do think about like I don't want to write things that make people feel bad. There are certainly things that I've written that I regret, but most of it was just reporting my feelings, right? Just reporting my and horniness again. Horniness is no crime, dude. All men are extremely horny. Like women listening, if there are any. You have zero concept of what horniness even means. You cannot comprehend it, and like we are just driven by this supernatural force that you'll never grasp. That explains 100% of the things that you find frightening about men. It's never going away, and you'll never understand it either. And there's no solution. You're just fucked. Mm-hmm. I gotta bail in a minute because I got my brunch. I have a brunch date with two guys.
Sounds fun. But I have to ask Tacos, will you sign my pussy?
Of course. I'll do a little drawing for you too.
Oh, lovely.
Let's see if I can draw an actual.
Is that pen working?
Yeah, it's good. Man. It's a cute little pen.
I just found it randomly, but yeah.
Drawing of a cat.
No, I'm gonna try to draw. Let's see. I'm gonna draw on your plate here. Get some ink going.
I can find a better pen.
Yeah, hold on.
This is a nice. I think you guys had Matt Lawrence on.
We had Lawrence on.
We're looking at this beautiful Matt Lawrence designed cover.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Which is an early draft that I made him keep. Like he just did this placement draft. He
told us. Yeah.
And I told him like you can't that expression like something about the expression is just perfect.
Yeah, it's just mysterious, hot.
Yeah, a little aloof, a little bored, a little sad.
It made me want to go to the Philippines.
Philippines is a wonderful place, man. I can't wait to get back.
This pen should work a bit better.
All right, here we go. Let's give it a shot here. Sorry. No,
Sorry.
I always. Oh yeah, I want to apologize because people ask me for fucking sign books all the time, and I never do it anymore. And it's because I do these drawings every time I sign a book.
I think I know what you're drawing.
Yeah, I can't see the drawing, but just from the hand motion, I know what he's drawing.
Let's give her a bigger ass here, a little bigger cheeks. And let's give her some pubic hair to indicate that she's a biological adult.
I want to get in trouble.
Just to make sure here. A little navel. And get some leg angle here. There we go. Yeah, guys. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate
thank you so much for coming on. Yeah.
Get a little titty in the picture here.
Oh, lovely.
Corner titty. Yeah, all right. Let's see.
Speaking of Matt Lawrence covers as well, I am going to forcibly give you my own book.
All right.
No expectation that you actually read it. I want to, be able to say that I gave my book to Delicious Tacos.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. All right, we done? We good?
I think so, yeah.
All right. I'm going to take I take a picture usually.
Yeah,
of
sure.
these drawings that I do too.
Thanks.
All right, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. When we started the pod, we're like, well, who's the prototypical author for New Right? And it's Delicious Tacos.
I'm going to take a quick.
Sounds good.